Hi, Irma.
Hey, Navid.
Hi, great to have you here. I'm going to be looking into the camera. This is, let's say, a conversation between me and Irma, where Irma will be asking questions in the context of non-duality and meditation. And some of the questions are her own questions. Some are typical questions that usually come up in our sessions. Irma have been with me in my online sessions for almost a couple of years, I would guess, something like that. And we can see some patterns in the questions and specific aspects that come up quite often. And some of the questions might be inspired by those. And if you, as a viewer of this video, has some questions to ask, if you want your questions explored in this particular way, you're very welcome to post your questions in the comments below, and we will look at them and bring them up in future short episodes like this. So back to you, Irma, and let's see what we have today.
Thank you. So let's just take it from the beginning. What is this and what are we doing? What is non-duality? That's what we call it sometimes, right? Or self-inquiry.
Exactly.
So what does that even mean? What is this?
So non-duality is different from self-inquiry. Non-duality points, it's a word, just like any other word, but it points to references to that the true nature of existence is not dual. It's not two things happening. It's not two things, this existence. It's actually one happening. It's one so-called thing, appearance. But it is relevant because we don't see it like that. We as humans, and with our type of mind, we separate existence into many different things and happenings and events, which is very useful for our evolution and our survival. But as we really believe in this mind-made separation, when we really believe that existence is made of many things, and especially when we believe ourself to be one of these things, when we separate out of existence our own self, we create an illusion. We create a false sense of who and what we are. And non-duality often points us back towards our real being, which is never separated from existence. It is the source of existence. So that is what non-duality normally points towards. Self-inquiry, inquiring into ourself, investigating our true self through our experience, is a way to discover or to uncover or reveal non-duality. So that is what we are up to in these sessions. We use meditations and different exercises like self-inquiry, eye-gazing sometimes when we do this in real life. All of these exercises, methods, the guidance, everything I say during these sessions in this context is meant to reveal the non-dual nature of existence.
Nice.
I never really said this out loud. I think I kind of hope that people will
good basic question, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Very good with these basic questions. What is all this about? What are we doing?
What is all this? And so a following question to that could be then, so does this necessarily mean that my character does not really exist?
Obviously, it depends on what you mean by your character. If you think of your character as something separate from the rest of existence, it would be just like thinking about your finger as something separated from your body. So your character exists, your finger exists, but it doesn't have its own independent existence. It's not something that is in reality separated from the rest of existence, that is doing its own thing. Actually, existing comes from a Latin word which is pointing towards independently existing, being independent. And in that sense, I would say, no, your character does not exist as an independent entity, but as an appearance, as an experience, as a way of experiencing. Obviously, it's there. So that is how I see it.
Obviously it's there because we do experience it.
Yeah. It's just not there as the way we usually think about it, that I'm here as an independent agent taking my own decisions based on my own thoughts, even though they're in a language we never chose. But it's like when we think of ourselves as a owner, as a really separate entity, that character, that person that imagines itself to take all decisions and be independent, non-duality, and of course self-inquiry, and just really honest looking at experience reveals that that's not really the case, I would say.
So there is non-duality, and at the same time, it can appear as if it's really clear that it's I who am something or someone is experiencing my my life, my feelings, my thoughts, and so that could be felt as it's really a separate thing, like it's my character, and then it's something that's experiencing that. So then all of a sudden it can feel like it's very clear that there are actually two different separated dimensions, worlds, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but if we look very closely into this appearance, you don't find the separate entity making the decisions. You never really find that one. You do find thoughts happening on behalf of something. You do find actions happening after those thoughts. You do find stories regarding you as a person and so on. But when you stop and you look, is there anything here besides sounds, besides feelings, besides thoughts or stories? You never really find the existence of that entity. And you do find a self. I mean, you do find a sense of, oh, that which I am right now while I'm looking in this moment, I am here as some kind of awareness, some kind of consciousness. So I am here fully. You don't feel that some part of you is not here. So you feel you're fully here. Yet that person we think ourselves as, the one experiencing my life and so on, that person you never find. You find awareness, you find experience, let's say. You find that there is a happening, there is thoughts and feelings and expressions and frustration and playfulness, all these things, everything is real, the experience is really happening. Yet the one that thinks itself as a victim of those things or as an owner of those things, my life, my sound, my voice, my, that owner, when you look, it's not really there. You are there, but not that owner. And it is a little bit like a game. Like we can imagine many similar things. We can imagine ourselves to be something. I am, like as children, I'm a pony, I'm a princess, I'm a soldier, I'm a monster truck, as my child usually plays. We can imagine many things, and they when we imagine them, our real reality as consciousness, our real reality, we borrow our reality to that idea for a while. We see ourselves as that being, that made up idea, and suddenly that pony or princess or monster truck, whatever, it feels real. We can, on behalf of that pony, relate to someone. Like, oh, that's nice grass, I'm going to go eat that grass. Because we feel ourselves as that pony for a while, we gave our reality of our true nature to the idea of pony. It's a very beautiful function of consciousness that we can do that. We can give our reality. Also, empathy, by the way, is quite a similar thing. You can see a person and you can give your reality to experience life through that person and feel their pain, feel their perspective. So we take the reality of our true nature, but usually we give it to our self-image. We have a self-image, an idea of a person that is a victim of some things and so on. We give our whole reality and we act and play on behalf of that. And that is usually where, let's say, the problem seems to appear. That we don't see it no longer as a play. We take it to be our true nature. This person who has a life, who has this and that, has a problem, this person which we borrowed our reality to for a while, we take it to be our source. It's almost like someone would be stuck in the pony game for the rest of their life. It would be devastating to never come out of that game, to borrow your reality to something. But we kind of do that. We borrow our reality. We imagine ourselves to go into a person with a life and so on. But every time we come out of that hypnosis, every time we really step out and check, is there such a being here that is a victim? Am I a person that is a victim of what happens to my body and what happens in time? Is that what I am? And you check what you are and you find no. Nothing that I thought has happened to me has happened to me. It was not my experiences and not my voice and not my body. I experienced all of them, but were there a tag on them, say belonging to someone? No. They happen. You experience everything you think you experience, like everything you remember you experienced, but you were not what you think while experiencing them. You were that which you are now. So I see it in that way, that the person that comes out and claims, this is my life, this is my body, this is my thing, this is my problems, it has a borrowed reality for a while, and it's gone when you sleep. That very real being that comes there like, yeah, I'm proud of what I have achieved, and this is my life. Like, then it's gone. Your body is there, your energy is there, your awareness is there, everything else is there, except that game is gone for a while. And again, it's a fun game to play, but if you take it to be your essence, it comes with anxiety and a sense of lack, I would say, a sense of something is wrong. So I don't know if I even answered your question, but kind of, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, so this brings several questions here also. And like you said, to begin with, a little bit with what we just discussed before this recording, and you emphasize that now as well, that it's not about denying or suppressing or not acknowledging feelings or experiences, because I can imagine, and I have felt this too in the beginning, and I think it can be the same for many others, that this can spontaneously feel a reaction from the mind, like oh, I'm not allowed to, but this happened, and you don't know how this felt when this happened to me, and this is horrible, and it's easy for you to say, and all of these things. If you follow.
Yeah, it does. It can appear that what I'm pointing towards, let's say this kind of self-inquiry and pointing towards non-duality, that it looks like we are detaching or expressing insignificant, or like pretty much like it's irrelevant. But it's not it's actually not that expressions and feelings and thoughts are specifically irrelevant. For a moment in this kind of exploration, everything, even being at peace and being, is totally irrelevant. Everything is for a moment where we go backwards. It's not like being success, anything. It's not specific things. For a moment, we just make all of the happenings not interesting for a moment.
Mm.
Even if you have very special feelings, it's not important right now, because we're going to look at you. We're going to look at who you are, not what you feel, not what you have experienced, not what is important, not your values, not your thoughts. We're just going to look at your essence. And in that moment, it is important to be very genuinely interested only in that question. Then, if we truly do that, we see that your essence is free, is untouched, is unchanging, is not lacking anything, is not needing of love from outside or confirmation. So we do a movement that can be somehow, let's say, ascetic, a little bit movement away from constantly expressing and feeling and stuff. We move away to find our core. But as that core, when we realize, oh, then there is no restriction to what can appear. When you realize you're free, when you realize you're untouched by whatever happens, or age or time or space, senses, everything, when you realize your true position, you no longer have to restrict any expression. You no longer have to move away from anything. You can go into any sensation. Let's say even frustration comes, that you didn't express something. Usually frustration is something we flee or we try to get rid of because we fear it. We fear anger. We fear fear. So when we do that movement a little bit back with self-inquiry and go towards experience again, we come fearless. Maybe we find a whole cloud of fear waiting for us in our body when we come back. Suddenly we are, as our true self, something that can be there with it. We find ourselves as a, let's say, almost a conscious space, a nothingness space that has nothing to fear, not even fear. And then I would say true expression, true sensorless expression can start. While before this discovery, of course, we could felt kind of free sometimes in our expression, but then the mind would come back and judge it. Did I do wrong? Did I express too much? What's going to happen to me because I express something that this person didn't like, and so on. So we thought we were free in our expression, but because we are so dependent on other people's opinions and our own judgment, we were never really free in our expression. But when we come back to our experience and our experience as a character, when we come back to that after discovering who we are, we no longer need to manipulate people into liking us. We also no longer require the proving of our own mind. We don't, let's say you do something and your mind comes afterwards saying, that was bad. Okay, that's just one voice. Suddenly you're free to express and not even caring what the voice in your head said. So that is true expression. That would really unleash the character the way you want. That's a dance that is so, let's say, uncontrolled that you would totally see the difference when there is an ego pretending to have free expression and when there is no one left there to choreograph the dance, when the dance is just what is happening. So I see expression as the most beautiful thing of of this, and also what I experienced in myself. I had so restricted movements before I discovered this, because I was incredibly invested in what everyone, especially my own thoughts, but what everyone else would think about my movements, how much it would reveal how sensitive I am and how weird I am, or how I look like when I express. I was so invested in what people believed, because I somehow wanted everyone's love, I guess. So I would never really express freely. But discovering this, discovering my true nature and how I am totally independent of what you think or what this thinks. Now I can do all kinds of weird stuff, and you've seen that in the sessions, but I say all kind of stuff that I would never say before. My voice have changed, the way I move have changed, and I don't even really care if that's a good thing or not. It's just Navid is free to be whatever weirdo he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I feel, is much more valuable than let's say the moment that feels like a sacrifice, to look away from the moment of self-inquiry. That is a little bit of a discipline, a little bit of a meditation. You look away from your current energies, how they want to express. But even while doing self-inquiry, I don't really say to you guys that try to not move and don't feel anything and don't talk during this. I say just don't be fascinated by what's happening. If sometimes, especially with people doing a lot of Kundalini energy stuff, when I do self-inquiry, they sit like this. They or their hands are like doing weird stuff. It's totally not this, like you can still do self-inquiry while your body is expressing many movements. So it's expression is never a problem. It's just what you value to put your attention on during the exercise. So it's not really like sometimes I guess some teachings, Buddhism and other more disciplined teachings, say don't move so that you can meditate. But as long as you try to direct your attention inwards to the self-inquiry, dance if you want to, you scream if you want to, fight someone, do sparring, whatever. But if you are genuine in your desire to discover your true self, your attention is needed for a while to look in the direction of you, to find out what is true about you.
Well said. And this is also the thing that we start to realize, maybe, that it's getting quite intellectual now. So you need to try this if you haven't really, maybe to feel like a better understanding of this. And just like you said, now in the end, I've even come to that point sometimes where I feel like, so we're practicing this, very careful with my words. And then it's like, I actually want to move, or I actually want to do something to really like feel that, like, wow, I am experiencing this movement, I'm experiencing this surrounding. Yeah. And then it's just so clear without being carried away with it, because that's the thing too. So yeah, when you mentioned when you mentioned that thing about maybe some would say like, okay, sit still and do this in order to be focused, like, yeah, of course, sometimes we do need to sharpen our mind, and because we are easily distracted, but that's not the thing about, like, there is always something already there to yeah, that's just it's not depending on all these things. And yeah, this is maybe where we get to the point that we want to encourage more people to try this in order to really understand.
Yeah, exactly, because since what we are pointing towards in these sessions is unconditional, meaning it's not dependent on anything. Unconditional really means unconditional, that there is no event, there is, even if your attention would be constantly distracted here and there, you can in some way still ask yourself the question, what am I? Who am I? You can do self-inquiry that is aware of my attention flying all around the place.
Exactly.
So there is, and I would say that is the most difficult, when many things ask for your attention constantly. But otherwise, let's say you're walking, there is no problem of seeing what am I experiencing this walk? What am I experiencing this dance? What am I seeing my own mind going into pride and stuff, and like I'm so like whatever is going on doesn't matter, as long as you are genuinely interested in discovering your true nature and you have the ability to understand some pointings. You just turn your attention around inwards, let's say, instead of being interested in everything that happens for just a moment. What is experiencing this? That is the question that reveals you. Of course, your mind has an answer, and there is many other things happening. Is this distracting me? Did I do the right thing? All of this is still just the happenings you're aware of. Just that question, honestly done, reveals you, I would say.
So then, what do you mean? Who am I? Who are you?
Exactly. And usually when we ask a question, we're waiting for an answer. It's such a reflex that if I ask, who am I? My mind should come up with an answer. But this kind of question is actually to make you look. Just like if I ask you, oh, who is that behind you? I don't mean you to answer. I don't want you to answer me from your mind. I want you to turn around and look who that person is behind you. In this case, when I ask, who are you? I don't want your mind to tell me. When we practice this, we bring our attention towards our source of experience, that thing or nothing, that space, that whatever we feel is experiencing this moment, whatever it is. So let's say if you would ask me right now, who are you? Let's say you ask me this question, just like you did. Who am I? So then if I want to answer you honestly, then I have to look now. I exist now. So I am what I'm not, what I'm experiencing is a Navid sitting here pointing with his hand to his chest and talking. That is what I'm experiencing. I also experience in front of me a camera, a picture of you, a room. This is all just what I'm experiencing. So none of this is what I am. So I have to turn my camera around. I have to turn my attention, not towards the thing I experience and feel and see, but to what I am. And when I do, I don't find a thing. I don't find an answer like, there it is. But it's almost like I am met with a very familiar presence, which I can't describe. It's very familiar, the most obvious presence, but I can't tell you any of my qualities. I'm here now. I was here the whole interview. I'm still here. And Navid, the thing talking here, cannot describe what I am. And I'm not a thing. I don't exist separately. It's not that I am a thing that is inside here somewhere, hiding. I'm here, but I can't describe. And the funny thing is that you, your essence, what you essentially are, knows what I'm talking about. Because there is also this dimension in you. So I can't describe what I am in words, but I can experience it, let's say. It's not an experience, but I can turn my attention and see. And that revelation is not an interesting experience in itself, but it reveals, most importantly, that I am not what I thought I was. That's the most important. Because maybe I thought I was a pony, or I thought I was a Navid, or I thought I was this voice, or I thought I was limited to some other idea. But when I do self-inquiry, when I really go into that question and look at the answer, I'm none of those things. I'm not even this. But I know what I am. And your essence knows too.
And that is also a common by effect, laughter or smile.
Yeah, it is like, you know, we always knew this, and then we played the pony game for a while. And then when we come out of it, we laugh. We go, oh yeah, of course, it's so obvious. But we can't really say what's obvious. One of my friends once said something so beautiful, someone that is not very much into this, but he says, like, it's almost like, you know, when you have Swedish, we say intern humor, like a inside, it's like a insider joke that we all know about, but we can't really share. When you don't see it, it's impossible to see. When you see it, it's like the joke is revealed. So it's very much like that feeling. Like suddenly when both of you see, I usually do eye gazing in my classes, and suddenly two points of view of this, like two people at the same time, burst into laughter because the recognition happened in both, and they both know. But suddenly if someone who doesn't know what they laugh about comes and asks, what did you guys laugh about? No one could say. It is impossible to say what we laugh about in the game. That's, yeah. I guess also that's...
Can you develop that just a little bit more? It's impossible to say in the game.
It is like when it's revealed, when you see that which I try to point to with these methods and meditations, self-inquiry. When you see it, it's so obvious, and you can laugh and you kind of recognize each other. If you're with someone, even in nature, you can start to laugh. But as soon as you don't see it, as soon as you veil your perception, it looks impossible. It is like there is no bridge between those two ways of seeing. When you see, it's obvious and you can laugh with someone, but then if you go into the perspective of asking, what are you laughing about? Suddenly it's like, I have no idea. So it's almost like there is no bridge between not seeing and seeing. It's like totally different paradigms. So even for myself, I can laugh my ass off when I see, and then if I have a moment of like going into another perspective, it's like, oh, it's so funny. Like it was that mindset, that, like, let's say the intellectual mindset that is based on me and my ego and my conditioning, that one has no idea what I laugh about. So it is a big paradigm shift in between, I would say, which which can be a little bit frustrating for the mind, but not for anything important.
But then it's also a little bit like we are talking about three possible like you have the I, the awareness, the experiencer, whatever you want to call it, and then you have our character, right? And because now you just mentioned like something that would never understand what I just laughed about, but then you had this part that actually laughed about something thought something was funny, right? And then you have something that experienced that. So it's like we have three parts now. So what is this?
Yeah, I would say there is in essence one experiencing this, and that's not the laughing one. Let's say that is just a nothingness holding existence. And it's so difficult to put this part into words. It's just what is. It's the happening and the awareness of it at once. That's what's really going on. But in the experience of going into experiencing life as something, let's say in the experience of going into dreaming ourselves into a character, just like a night's sleep, you're actually not the character you think you are in the dream. You're the dreamer of the whole thing, but there is almost like a movement of identifying with a certain perspective. So in the movement of the I into experiencing as or through a Navidness, there are many layers. I experience many layers of Navidness before it comes in its most crystallized form. And during, let's say, a meditation, or sometimes even with psychedelics or Kundalini breathing and so on, during sometimes even just being too tired, during different states of mind, I would say you identify with different layers of this movement towards this existence. Some layers in you, the other layers don't make sense. So this is also when we started talking today. I would say sometimes your intellectual layer with the humor and everything, like it is one layer of, let's say, this crystallization, this manifestation of a character. That one might not totally understand how your biological body choose to do stuff, like, oh, how could I eat that? How could I sleep with that guy? Like it like there is a part of us that somehow don't understand the other layers. And in that sense, if we are okay to use this language, there are deeper layers and deeper layers and deeper layers. So some of those very deep layers of our game, of our dream, are more aware of the truth, I would say. So that one, those layers, those deeper layers of our imagined individuality, they can laugh. They can laugh about how far into the game we have gone in our most superficial layers. It's really hard to talk about these things. It's not something that I like, it's not a philosophy I carry, but if I have to put it into words, something like that.
Exactly. And this is what I meant also, that the more we talk about it, we feel more that this is something that you just have to do.
So
because the words are not enough.
Just as an example, if we would meet in a dream, you and me, and in the beginning of the conversation, if this was in our dream, in the beginning of the conversation, we might totally believe that you're an Irma and I'm a Navid. So let's say that would be the first way we meet in the dream. And then let's say suddenly, let's say it's your dream. You become lucid and it's like, oh, this is just a dream. I'm just dreaming about having this conversation with you. This is actually my dream. You shift into another being, but you're still there. Irmaing. So Irma is still there. Your animal is still there, laughing, apparently. But you're not the same layer that you were before. So what like, it's like same things are there, but suddenly you have a very different relationship to everything if you realize it's a dream. So it's another layer of you, let's say, looking suddenly. So a little bit like that, I experience in between total truth perspective, let's say, the what it's actually my source, and what I usually take myself, or many times take myself to be, to interact in our game, my game character. In between, let's say, that movement, there are many layers, if that makes sense. I thought maybe in this way some more people could relate to the experience.